What's up, guys? Welcome back to Daddy Knows Best. This next episode, we have Nacya on. She's been through some crazy stuff to get to where she is today. A lot of unique stories from someone that started in Portugal and is now in Los Angeles with many stops along the way. We get into all that stuff. I'm so fucking sick right now. That's why my setup looks way different. I am not well. I'm doing this for you 100 people that listen every week. That's what I'm doing this for. So thank you for tuning in.
Why are you sick?
I'm sick because we ate some chicken that was not good. The chicken was not good. And we woke up at 4 a.m. trading turns, going to the bathroom. Both ends. Not good. It's a miracle I'm here in front of you guys today.
Who's we?
You and me. They know. They know you're a little troll girl. Forgot to spray poopery a couple times, but we talked about it.
You called me a creature mid-puke.
You
were the one puking.
I'll never be the same. People think I get paid for PTSD from the Marines, but it was Annie's shits.
Hey.
Yo, make sure you follow, like, subscribe, share with a friend. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and thank you for tuning in. Well, thank you for doing the pod.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. It was just Thanksgiving. Did you have like an American Thanksgiving or what?
I did.
Did you?
Yeah.
What did you do?
I went to my friend's house and all of his family was there. And I went they're all black, so I went for the food mostly.
Nice.
So like people can cook.
Yeah, no raisins in the potato salad there.
Gross. I'll have to kill everybody if they did that.
Nice. Very cool. And when was your first, like what's your experience with Thanksgiving? Because as a foreigner, you're probably like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, I never remember it's going to be Thanksgiving. To
really?
be honest. Yeah, I never remember.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's just a lot. It's kind of like a test drive for Christmas.
Yeah? Yeah, it is kind of, it's one of my favorite holidays, to be honest. I love
Really?
it. Yeah.
Why do you love it?
Besides all the juicy colonization stuff, the food,
You like colonization?
the alcohol. I mean, I like aspects of it for sure.
Like what?
Like the infrastructure.
Do you know this is being recorded, right?
The education. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but without colonization, the world wouldn't be what it is today.
Yeah, but
So it's like gentrification. There's good and there's bad. I think there's a lot of good that gets overlooked in both.
I'm sure because you're white, that's a nice thing to say.
Yeah, maybe. If I was black, I'd be against colonization
Absolutely.
or another race.
Who
yeah.
the fuck are you, Kanye West?
I'm not for slavery. I'm for
Okay.
colonization, which...
No, you're not for colonization. You're for some aspects of the colonization as
Yeah.
bringing maybe order and structure and let's forget
Maybe I gotta-
Inquisition, but maybe school and stuff like that, I guess.
Yes. And maybe I got to look up the word.
But you know, if they have never been colonized like Brazil, they would be just fine. They would find their way.
Yeah?
Yeah, sometimes I think so.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, I cannot say much because I'm Portuguese and my ancestors were colonizers. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah. Neighbors of Spain, the other colonizers. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Like, look at all the stuff we have and the infrastructure and those places were behind scientifically and civilly, I think. Like, they were still doing human sacrifices and stuff where when Spain came and, like, conquered, and they also had the locals help. People think that, like, oh, the Spaniards just came and, like, fucked everything up with their, what was it, 400 or 500 people, the conquistadors, but they actually had the help of the local tribes. They were sick of, what was it, the Aztecs?
Yeah.
Or whoever was running at the time. They were like, these guys are assholes, and they kind of, like, formed a team. I'm not a history buff. This was taught to me by my Spanish roommate who is also a pro-colonizer.
I don't know.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I don't know the story about the conquistadors, the Spanish, very much. I just know the Portuguese. I know that the Portuguese went to Brazil, and then they got there, and they were like, so, have you heard about Jesus Christ?
Oh, yeah.
And by the way, we bring guns.
Yeah,
We bring guns and Jesus Christ word, and also chicken pox, which will kill most of y'all, but, you know, will be useful.
those are like my three favorite things in life.
I can tell.
I'm just kidding. I'm not
You look like somebody who enjoys Inquisition.
I'm going to have to look that word up and get back
You
to
know
you.
what it is?
What is Inquisition?
Inquisition.
Mm-mm.
It's the church. They were
Okay.
like, you have to be religious
Ah.
and follow the word of God, or
See,
else
I'm not into that.
you have to convert.
I'm into having good values and being a good person, and I think nobody really knows what happens after you go. I'm spiritual. Like,
Me
I
too.
believe we're all part of the same, whatever this is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not into that whole.
I know, but we're talking about colonization.
Yeah, which is a big aspect of it. I
It
realize
is
that.
huge.
Yeah, I feel like you're up on your anti-colonization pedestal, and we need to.
No, I'm just upset.
Yeah.
I'm like, sometimes I'm a bit embarrassed of that history of ours, because I feel like the Portuguese brought a lot of gifts to Brazil, and then little by little, like, colonized Brazil.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of bad. But Portugal actually colonized and owned a lot of part of the world. So there's a lot of countries that speak Portuguese, and now we have a tiny little country. I don't know really what happened,
Yeah.
but
Same with Spain.
I know.
Spain owned was one of the biggest empires or whatever for a long time.
I like to think that the colonizers, so I can say the Portuguese and the Spaniards and the English, they were like horny teenagers, you know what I mean? And then they just calmed down a little bit and it was like, let's just chill.
Yeah, I think anywhere there's war, that stuff happens, unfortunately. It's like a bad product of that. Because even in Vietnam, they were doing bad stuff. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's an unfortunate byproduct of war.
That's it. This is a nice way to start a podcast.
Yeah, daddy knows best. What's up?
You're so white.
Yeah.
You went to war too, didn't you?
Yeah, I went to Iraq in
Oh
2008.
my God. How was that?
Just trying to progress the colonies back here in the States, you know.
How was it? Which position were you?
I was
Were you the cook?
yeah, I was cooking for sure. Cooking up some nasty shit for the bad guys that I never saw. I was infantry, so I was like a door kicker, but then I tried out for the sniper platoon and made the sniper platoon and then went over there as a sniper for about half the time, and then I got in trouble and had to do like lame fucking
Why did you get in
work.
trouble?
Well, it's a long story, but ultimately I was at this special operations unit before I went to snipers. I was with MARSOC, Marine Special Operations Command, and I was still friends with the supply guy. And snipers, you get all this not cool gear. And so this supply guy was stealing gear from MARSOC, the Marine Special Operations Command, and he was selling it to me and the rest of the snipers. And I didn't make any extra money. I didn't do anything. I was just buying the stolen gear, and I was also getting it from my friends at the same price. So we'd have like badass shit when we went to Iraq. And that guy got busted and he told on me. And then like,
But why did you need extra badass shit? Didn't they give you guns and stuff?
yeah, they did, but it's like dated. Marines get like the hand-me-downs of the Army. We do more with less. That's kind of like our thing. So we get like these ancient weapons, these old flak jackets, and I got us like the badass stuff that SOCOM was using, which is Special Operations Command, which the Navy SEALs and the Green Beret and Delta, all these people fall under Special Operations Command, but Marine Corps snipers don't. So that's what happened. And then halfway through deployment, I got kicked out of my platoon and had to like fill sandbags and do post and like the worst like shit ever.
Did you know that I worked for the Marines?
I know that you were married to a Marine.
I was.
Yeah.
I was.
And what was that like?
Never again.
Yeah. That's the ex-wives' mottos for the Marines. Never again. We got Semper Fi. You guys have never again.
Exactly. Well, I really loved the Marines that I worked for. They were like younger. They were very funny. And even to this day, they send me messages. They're
Yeah.
like, oh my God, Nacya, we're so proud of you. And they come to my shows.
That's awesome.
One of them even traveled from San Francisco to California to come to a show of mine.
That's great. I love Marines. They're polite. They're kind.
They're perverts, but yes.
Yeah, you get a bunch of dudes and separate them from women. They're going to get a little horny.
It's normal. It's okay.
Yeah, and they're young. Yeah, that's really cool. So is that where you met your husband, working for the Marines?
No, I met him when I was in Norway. I was like 19.
19 in Norway, and he was in Norway. So he wasn't infantry in the Marines.
Let's not talk about things that don't matter.
Okay, sorry.
It's okay.
Touchy subject.
No, it's not touchy anymore. It's just past.
That's true. Well, you're killing it on Instagram, like over
Thank you.
190,000 followers, which is huge. I remember not too long ago you had like 100,000 less, and
Yeah,
you've
I had
just
way
been
less.
fucking killing it. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
I also saw you're on Dr. Drew's pod,
Oh, yeah.
which is sick.
I
He's a
got
famous
invited.
psychologist.
I got invited to go again. I'm gonna go again in January.
Hell yeah, that's cool. I have a master's in psychology, so I'm a fan of him and stuff he does.
That's cool.
Yeah. Also, the Riff. Tell me about the Riff. How did that start? I love the concept. I'm doing it for the first time with you on the 21st.
21st of December at the Hollywood Improv at 7:30.
Yeah, I'm stoked.
Yes, I'm excited. I was a huge fan of Comedy Without a Net.
Comedy without a what?
Without a Net. I'm not sure if that's the exact name. I'm sure it will come to me.
Is that it could be, I just don't. There's
I
a
think
lot of
it is-
things I don't know.
I think it's in Europe that they do this. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But I would watch it on YouTube. And the only difference is that it's improv as well, and they have a TV screen that shows up like random words.
Oh.
And I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. And then I thought, maybe they actually know which words goes there. Maybe they have like a little, I don't know. And I was like, what if I created a show like this, which is improv? Improv, it's improv. Nobody just invented improv, right?
Right.
Except I create a way that the comedians cannot cheat, and the crowd knows they cannot cheat because they see it happening. So we got the wheel, and it's a wheel with 3 options. Number 1, which is crowd suggestion. So the crowd writes suggestions, whatever it is, like word subjects, whatever it is, and we put it on a bucket number 1. Then number 2 is comedians in a lineup suggestions, bucket number 2. And then there's another one which is tell a story.
Okay.
So you just riff on the story or you tell a story.
That's dope. I saw it was also featured on Joe Rogan's podcast.
Oh yeah, he talked about it a couple times.
That's cool. Did he ever come through? And
Yes, he did in Texas.
That's
in
sick.
Austin. Yeah.
What made you leave Austin too? Because you were killing it out there, and you're just like
Well,
sick of it.
I was in New York, and my manager asked this really big agent to come see me perform. And we sit down, and after my performance, and he was like, okay, so what do you want to do? And I was like, I was like trying to be humble because I don't like when people are like, now I'm delusional. Nowadays I'm delusional. But
But you can have like big goals, and it doesn't
Yeah,
mean you're delusional. Like
No.
if I told you my goals, or most people, they'd be like, haha, yeah, right. But
Yeah.
like I know where I'm going and what the work I'm putting in.
Yeah.
And
That does make sense. I felt so intimidated by this person because
big agent, yeah. Of
he's
course.
a gigantic agent.
Of course.
And I said, oh, I would like to be in a sitcom, maybe do some movies. I would like to tour. And he's like, okay. And then he goes silent, and I'm like, and he's like, listen, you have the hit factor. And I didn't even know what the hit factor was. So I was like Googling it. I was like, oh my God, the hit factor. I have to Google what that is. And I can see you doing everything. Like you can be on movies. I can see you on fucking billboards. I can see you on sitcoms. I can see you touring. Like I can see you doing everything. But if you're in Texas, that's never going to happen. You need to be in New York or LA.
Yeah.
And I noticed that in Texas, there's a lot of comedy in Texas. You can get some stage time. But unless somebody grabs you and somebody sees you, it's kind of hard to do that. And I noticed in
The stage time?
no,
Or-
not stage time. I feel like to go to the next level. I've known a lot of people who are very good on stage, but they just stay there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Nothing happens.
Yeah.
And so then I thought I wanted to move to New York initially because in New York I can get a lot of stage time. Like I could pay my rent.
How and why and what made you pick LA over New York? I've only been in New York and I've done comedy there once. But what makes it I've heard this before, so I'm curious what makes stage time more accessible there? Or is it because you have more contacts there?
There's a lot because there's so much stage time. And if people hear about you they like you, you'll get invited for shows. Like I'll go there for maybe 2 shows. I end up doing 3-4 shows.
Whereas
every
here
night.
it's like more clicky.
Yeah, here's more clicky. It's like, it's sporadic, the word. Like there's like one here, there's another one there. Like it's kind of hard. And in New York, what I would get for my rent is like a fucking shithole. And I was also thinking about my dog. It's like all the noise, all the shit on the floor. Like, I'm like there's syringes and shit. Like there's garbage. And I just thought, okay, maybe in LA I can also do comedy. I can get some acting gigs, and my dog will have a better life. I can drive him to the beach.
Your
and
dog's
stuff.
100% way better off here.
Yeah.
I mean, like, dogs live well in LA. I love it here. The weather, too, is the best.
It is. I don't deal well with cold. Like my fingers, I don't know how you say it in English. They start swelling up,
Oh, yeah.
and I get these things on my knuckles that are like, that hurts so fucking bad.
Really?
And yeah, it's like these tiny little balls that hurt a lot. And I don't know the name in English, but it's basically, it's like your fingers like it starts freezing under your skin.
That's crazy. I get little nodes from jiu-jitsu. Which a lot of Brazilian and Portuguese.
I know. Maybe I should go there and find my next husband.
What? Brazil?
Jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu, you
Yeah.
should.
Yeah.
And you'll learn how to, like, defend yourself the best way.
Yeah, and they know how to grab stuff right.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu.
Right?
Yeah, yeah. If you're looking for a dude that'll crank your arm off.
If you're like really passionate about it, I'm like, damn, chill.
Yeah, I mean, it's addicting. It's fun, and also, I think as a woman, it's the best martial art you can learn.
As a woman?
Yeah,
But I don't like...
because most of the. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I don't like when people are in my personal space.
Yeah, and it's very in your personal space, but also the way we start is with your legs around, so it's like so most vulnerable positions that women will be in are from males, and it's gonna be in those scenarios, and like the stuff you learn is pretty impressive. And
Okay, I might try.
try it. Yeah. My class or my school has like a free week. Come check it out.
It does?
Yeah. And then you can roll with other women too. Like you don't have to roll with a bunch of
guys?
sweaty dudes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
Do you
is
guys-
intimidating.
Are you guys naked under those suits?
No, we have rash guards underneath. And we also like, my gym is very respectful and like, they're not going to like crank it on you and like hurt you. You know what I mean? Everybody's kind of looking out for each other, and they're not going to turn it up, and just like demolish your heart and soul, even though they could, which is kind of cool.
Okay.
Yeah, are you excited? Are you gonna do jiu-jitsu?
I think I would have to get out of my head of having somebody close to my face.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that it is. People are close. Yeah.
I don't like feeling other people's breath on my face.
Oh yeah, there's and
You feel it? Ugh,
some people
breath.
have bad breath. Yeah.
I have for me, it's like, how, you don't know?
Yeah, and when you're doing jiu-jitsu, you're like, bro, stop breathing
I
your
know.
nasty breath on me.
Oh, you know what it is as well? It's nasty breath. It's like, it can be from multiple things, but I feel like it's bad as well when there's those people that they eat very healthy. You
Yeah.
know that breath I'm talking about? Those people that eat very healthy and then they have that breath. It's just like old person's breath. It's kind of like sourish. I was like, dude,
Do you eat healthy?
yeah, but I eat some sugar once in a while just to not have that type of breath.
Yeah. What do you think that breath's from?
I think it's just their stomach. I think it just comes from the inside of from like
The healthy.
from eating very healthy or like no carbs, I think, or like no sugar, I think.
Okay.
But like, how do you say that? Do you be like, you want a lollipop?
Yeah, it's
Like,
so
how
hard
do
to
you-
tell someone they have bad breath. Even like people I'm close with. It's
If I ever had bad breath, I never talked very close to your face.
no, and you also are very aware with you, like you were chewing gum before we started,
true.
so like I feel like you're aware and not gonna be that person, which is good. What did you do in Portugal, and how did you get into comedy?
So I always worked. Like, my parents always made me work every fucking summer. It was a nightmare. I never really enjoyed my teenage years. I was always working.
Really?
Yeah.
What
it
kind of
sucked.
jobs were you working?
Ugh, I worked in this aquatic park.
Ooh, that sounds
Yeah.
cool.
No, it
like a
was awful.
SeaWorld?
Dude, so I was on the picture side with the parrots.
Yeah.
And sometimes I would have to go early and clean the parrots' shit.
Yeah, that's the worst. I worked at a pet store in high school, and I got in trouble because I would always skip cleaning the bird cages because it was disgusting.
gross.
They shit
So much.
so much, like 100 times a day.
I
It's
know.
crazy.
That's why they say skinny. So this bird, so there were two birds. The red one, it was a red parrot, and then the blue parrot. And the red one, I don't remember the name, but the blue one was Jimmy. His name was Jimmy. And this motherfucker was mean.
They live a long ass time, right?
I
Don't
know.
they live like
too long, if you ask me.
almost 100 years or something crazy? Or some of them like 60 years or
To put them
some
in the
ridiculous.
oven for Thanksgiving. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I would come early, and then I found a trick, which is if I shower him with a hose. With a hose? How do you call it in English?
Yeah, water hose.
Yeah, if I just give him with that, he's gonna fucking chill.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but he would be mean. Have you
Mean
ever-
in what way? He would say mean things like, you're a bitch.
No, he would. Okay, so this bird was blue, but somehow he would open his feathers when he would be upset, and then he would be like fucking red, you know?
Oh, wow.
And once I went to pick him up, and I never would pick him up with my fingers because I would be scared of him.
Wear thick gloves or something?
No, there was no gloves. This is Portugal. You have to be tough. In Portugal, it's cool to be tough.
Really?
Yeah.
See, when I
Gross.
think Portugal, I think Spanish is a little sissy neighbor. I didn't think
no, no, no,
toughness.
no, no. They're like-
Portuguese are tough?
Yeah, Portuguese women are tough.
No, I wasn't talking. I was just saying as a people. I
People,
didn't know.
yeah, they're all art. It's all about if you're like fiery and passionate, that's like, oh, okay, she's a good hard worker. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So this fucking bird, I went to pick him up with a stick, right? It was
Yeah.
like a broomstick. And he starts like walking like sideways like a crab towards my fingers.
Yeah.
And I was so scared. This time I dropped him and then he started going towards the pool. And he, he doesn't know how to swim.
Right.
So he almost drowned, but I didn't have the balls to pick him up. And
Oh,
then
he was in the water?
yeah, and then
Why the fuck would he get in the water?
because he's a dumbass. And then the lifeguard, the lifeguard went and got him, and I got fired after that.
Oh, wow. But, yeah, also, why were there parrots at an aquatic park?
Because it would be something where people arrive and they take a picture with the parrots.
Okay.
Yeah. So then when I turned 18, I moved to Norway. I was
Yeah.
a flight attendant there,
Okay.
but it was just for 1 year. It was very badly paid.
Really? Yeah, but you get the flight benefits, right?
No.
No?
This airline was this is the only airline in the world that takes people at 18 years old. Like they really like make people slaves. It was
Oh,
really
wow.
it was really rough. And then I quit and I became a waitress because I was making way more money.
Right.
But, Norway 6 months of the year is dark.
Okay.
Like you don't see sunshine.
6 months of the
Yeah.
year? Why so many months of the year
I don't
is
know.
it dark?
I don't understand the science behind it, but Norway is the country where people have more. It has the highest rate of suicide. So anyway, I was like when I was a kid, I was like 19, right? I was like, I didn't know about mental health. I didn't know that people have like mental problems and shit like that.
Right.
And I was just feeling really depressed. Like I was having like suicidal thoughts and everything because my life there was so rough. And then where I was working, there was like a guy that was a huge bully to me, and he was like racist.
Wow.
And I had no money.
Racist?
Yeah, he was a fucking cunt.
Against other Portuguese people? Oh, because he
I
was
think-
in Norway. Then so
He was not Norwegian. He was. I'm not gonna say it here because I don't want people to think I'm saying something bad. But he was just not a good person. He would go by waves. He would bully me, then he would go and bully the gay guy. Then he would go bully this other girl he dated, and it was like a whole thing. It was just he was such a bad person.
verbal bullying.
No, verbal. And one time I was carrying a beer box, and he kicked it against my leg because I didn't help him with his table. He just had like problems, but I
Yeah.
really needed that job. And I was just like freaking the fuck out. Anyway, this girl, she goes, "Hey, do you want to come out with me?" And I said, "Oh, I don't have money to go out, like, but I can keep you company." And she's like, "Okay." So she took me to this talent show. And people doing like poetry, and they were like rapping and
In Norway?
singing. Yeah,
And you got up and did stand up. Mm-hmm. No, you didn't.
I did.
Out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere, and I had no set, no nothing. She said, "If you go on stage, I'm gonna buy you drinks for the rest of the night." And I was like, "Okay." So I went on stage, and one or two went well, but I bombed, and I was like,
In
"Oh my
English?
god!" Yes, I was like this. Even though it sucked, it was the first time in my life with all these different jobs that I had that I felt like I was doing something right.
Yeah, you get a rush for sure.
Yeah. So then there was this comedian in the crowd, and he was like, "You clearly don't know how to write, but you got something. Like you should learn how to write. You can come and do some open mics." And I did, and then I start like really early. I started getting paid to do stand up.
That's great.
Yeah.
In Norway?
Yeah.
Wow. Is the pay very similar to here?
If not, it's better
Why didn't you stay there and do
because I
stand?
hated there.
Yeah?
I didn't like being there.
Because the cold and the 6 months.
Yeah, it's not for me.
It sounds like you have seasonal affective disorder. Have you heard of
I
that?
forget you're a doctor. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not. I'm just a master.
I've heard it does hit me a lot, and even before I get my period, I always get so fucking depressed. I get super depressed. I get super horny. Like like unhealthy.
Wow, those two don't usually go together.
It's bad. And then if I don't get satisfied sexually, I get a lot of appetite.
Oh, wow.
So and
Food appetite.
yeah, but like not I get like yes, food. And then this happens every single month and I never know what it is. And then my period comes, I'm like, "Oh, that's why."
Wow. That's crazy. I'm so glad I don't have to deal with that kind of stuff. As a
know.
guy, we're lucky
Yeah.
in a lot of ways. Sorry to rub that in.
No, it's true. It's true. You guys are.
Man, don't they club baby seals in Norway still, don't they? For their coats, or they did for a long time.
I honestly don't know,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't be surprised.
I hear Norway's kind of cool. Were you in the capital?
I was in Oslo.
Okay.
I was in Riga at first because that's where the airport was, and then I went to Oslo.
Okay. And then you moved to the US?
No, and then so then
You met the guy we don't talk about.
no, see, I did met him, and then I was like, I needed more money, and I wanted a way to get out of there. So now I'm 21, and I could apply for better airlines.
Okay.
So I applied for Etihad and I applied for Emirates. For Emirates, I was 2 centimeters shorter, but I was called to go to the interview.
To be, you were considered too short to be a.
2 centimeters. There was literally like a tiny, and
Why is there a height requirement?
because you have to reach the bins, yeah. So I did that, and the lady was like, her face was like this. If you do a little bit of yoga, I think you can stretch that. That's nothing. And then I went to Etihad, and there was 500 people for this interview. It was like a whole day of interviews.
Wow.
Yeah, there's like a written English test. Then there's a written and a spoken test of the language you say you can speak.
Wow.
Then there's like games, and they see how you behave. And yeah, and there was like,
To be a flight attendant?
yes, this is like the best, one of the best airlines in the world. Like the girls are fucking gorgeous.
You know what's crazy?
What?
This is the first time I've ever heard of that airline.
Really?
Yeah.
But it's true.
But I grew up in Middle America and very
It's
I'm
in,
learning stuff every day.
It's in Abu Dhabi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there's like all these, and they check your nails, they check your makeup, your hair. They will literally check your body to see if you have tattoos.
Really? You
Yeah.
can't have tattoos?
No, I had mine, but I hidden mine very well. And yeah, so there
You
was
can just put makeup on it too if it's something small.
yeah, but no, they will look at it. They will literally look at your legs.
That's creepy.
But you know what I did? You know what was my trick?
What?
I was so fucking scared. I had like fucked up panic attacks.
Oh.
I was like scared. And I go to the doctor, it's my turn, and it's a doctor, and she locks the door. And she goes, okay.
She locked the door?
Yeah.
That's creepy.
Oh, no, there's worse thing. I will tell you about it.
Because you have to get undressed?
Yeah.
But
So,
like underwear?
yeah.
Okay. This sounds like the Marine Corps physical too.
It was very military-ish. I don't know how it is now anymore. Maybe now it's different. But she told me to sit. She like, take your clothes off and sit. And I was like, oh my God. So I started freaking out. And I had makeup on my tattoos because I have these tiny little hearts behind my feet.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
that I did when I was like 13. I have this.
You were
there.
13 when you got your first tattoo?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I got my ribs done too. But she didn't see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
How'd you cover that? Because you just...
No, because if it was like on my ribs, it was okay. It was just if it was showing.
That's pretty hidden too, though.
Yes. So what I did, I pulled my pants down. No, I had a skirt because I remember I had socks and she told me to take the tights. So I pulled everything down and I left it on my wrist, on my ankles. And I was so nervous. I was like this. And she thought that was cute. She was like, okay, you're fine. And I'm like, okay. And I put it back and I was like, oh my God. I remember sitting in the bathroom and just like praying and being like, oh my God, I'm so glad. Because I needed that fucking job so bad.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, 500 people, only 10 passed and I was one of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, you've gone through a lot.
I
That's
don't
crazy.
think about it like that.
But in a good
Yeah.
way. Those are good wins and good things to go through as a person, I think, that a lot of people haven't gone through. Of
Yeah.
like going somewhere new, finding a job, being stressed out about getting a job. And like, yeah, that's a lot to go through.
It is.
And then how did you make it to the U.S.?
So then I got engaged when I was 25. So I was in Abu Dhabi from 21 until I was 25. And then it was like, he asked me to move in with him. So I was like, okay, like now I'm engaged. So I moved in with him. And we lived in Paraguay, and we lived in Kosovo, and then we lived in Berlin for 2 years, and then we came to the US. And that's how I got
In
here.
Texas?
Yeah, then we got to Texas.
Austin?
Yeah, 4 years ago.
Nice. And did you do comedy though since you were in Austin the whole time?
I did comedy the whole time.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So that was before the big like boom and everything, right? Or
No.
it's right in the beginning of it?
No, even during the COVID, I did.
Oh yeah, because they didn't shut down over there. I did it during COVID too. I would rent parking lots and have socially distanced shows, and I did a open mic at the park where you could come, and if you had the best set, you could win a spot on the show that was in the parking lots. And then I moved it to Jam in the Van, and then Laugh Factory, and now it's at the Improv Lab.
Awesome.
So I'm slowly taking it to worse and worse venues, just.
That's good.
I also have on here one of my favorite things, the Douchebag Daily Double, because the podcast used to be called Douchebags Anonymous, because I identify as a recovered douchebag, believe
That's
it or
good.
not. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so the Douchebag Daily Double, what that is you say the douchiest thing that's ever happened to you and the douchiest thing you've ever done to someone else that you're comfortable sharing. And we can come back to it too.
No, I mean, I have two things. Which one shall I start?
Whichever one what do you want to start with?
The douchiest thing someone ever did to me was actually when I was a flight attendant.
Yeah.
They were like, so in the airplane you have like positions where you work, and then those positions have responsibilities.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So if it's like you are in charge of a door and security and all this stuff, and you have to look for bombs, or if there's anything awful in the airplane, you have to do like security checks and all this stuff. So I remember I was so fucking exhausted, and I was in the bus to the airplane with all the crew. It was a crew bus, and this girl, like, she was like, "Oh my God, you're like, I don't remember the exact position. I think it was L3. You're like L3, which means left 3 door. That's so much work. Oh my God." And I was so jet lagged. I was like,
What makes it more work?
because it means you're in charge of the galley, and then you have a area to secure. So you're in charge of like a certain amount of passengers and their safety, and then you're in charge of the galley and preparing the
food.
service, and then
Okay.
you're in charge of the security of the galley. So there's all these tiny little compartments. You have to look if there's any things misplaced, and then the like security material, you have to look if it's up to date and everything's fine in case of an emergency, and you have to know how to use it and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So and I'm like, which airplane are we flying? And she's like, "Oh, we're flying this airplane." And I had the manual, and I'm like, "Oh, fuck, I'm doing this position. Like, it's so fucking annoying." So I do all the things I gotta do. I'm like stressed the fuck out, okay? Then during the flight, the manager comes, and she goes, "I don't know who this was, but the captain is very upset that one of the girls didn't go introduce herself to the cockpit."
Okay.
And I was like, "Yeah, it was me. Like, look, all the stuff I got to do. Like, this is crazy." And she's like, "I know. Just go there. Just say hello. Say your name." And I'm like, "But we already had the briefing. Why do I have to go there again?"
Yeah.
She's like, just go." And I'm like, "Okay." So I go there. I knock on the door. I put the pin or whatever. They open the door. And I'm like, "Hey, I'm sorry. I've been so busy. I'm L3. I'm sorry I didn't come to say hello. Just want to say my name is Nacya. I'm from Portugal. If you guys need anything, just call L3. And he's like, "Okay, you can stay here a little bit with us," the captain.
That's creepy.
And yeah, no, it gets worse. So there were 2 captains, and then there were, I think, 2 other captains in the cockpit because they were traveling, and then there was this captain.
There's just 4 captains,
5.
5 captains.
Yeah.
That seems like
This was a big ass
It
airplane.
must be.
So then I'm like, "Oh no, I gotta go because I got a lot of work to do." And he's like, No, you can stay here." And I'm like, "But there's no place for me to sit." And he grabbed my arm like a child. He grabbed my arm like this, and he pulled me, and like to sit on his lap, and I fell on his lap. But this is the Middle East, and men get only the people who actually live there know this.
Yeah.
Get very like aggressive, and they're very ego hurt. They get very. So I was like, how can I get out of it? Like, if this was in Europe or in America, I'll be like, who the fuck do you, like, you know what I
Right.
mean? But there I couldn't do that. So I was like,
Of course. Yeah, I've been to the Middle East. I know.
you know very well.
Yeah, you can't raise your voice louder than the man. Like, there's a lot of crazy stuff.
So I just go, I'm like really embarrassed. And all the other captains, they were like this. They were just like nervous and they were like looking, pretending
Yeah,
it
they're
didn't
probably
happen.
uncomfortable too.
Yeah, they're uncomfortable. And I just go, and then this guy, the worst thing is that he pulled me and I'm trying to process how to get the fuck out of there. And I feel his warm breath on my face cheek and his cigarette breath. And he's like said something to me. I completely zone out. And I just go, you don't want me to sit on your lap. I got a bony ass. And then I got up and they all start laughing, right? And he's like, oh, but just stay here. Don't worry. I'm the captain. And I'm like, I understand that. But if I don't do my work, it's going to be extra for my colleagues. So I'm going to go now. If you need me, please come and see me, okay? And then I find out he was looking for me and I had to hide in the bathroom. It was a whole fucking thing. It was so uncomfortable.
I don't know if this sexual assault case counts as being a douchebag. This guy's like beyond.
He was a douchebag to me. That's so
He-
disrespectful.
It's very disrespectful. And just to be clear, when I was a douchebag, that's not the kind of stuff I did.
Okay, that's good.
Mine was like just being an asshole. And
What did you do? Can you tell me a story?
Whew, yeah, I've it was mostly just like I was kind of like a player douchebag guy,
But
so I would
I feel like all guys
cheat
do
and-
that.
No, I don't. No, I've never cheated on my girlfriend. I've never cheated on any of my girlfriends after early on in the Marines, and I just made a deal that I would just stay single and be open, and I would be like, hey, I'm not really looking for anything serious.
That's
and
nice.
yeah, because yeah, I think not a lot of like there's plenty of good people out there that don't do that, I believe. So it was about like addressing my values, but I would yeah, I remember even in high school I was dating this girl and like she was kind of prude and she was a virgin or whatever, and like I was over at her place or her friend's place, and her friend was there too, and we were kind of just like laying in this bed watching a movie, and I was like kissing my girlfriend, and then I felt this other girl grab my dong, yeah, and I didn't stop it, and I'm like, yeah,
And then what happened?
nothing. She just got away. I was just thinking like, God,
But your girlfriend that was kissing you, she didn't notice?
no, didn't notice.
That's so strange.
So strange. Another time,
But how did this end it? How did this end it?
it just went on the whole night, and like she just never found out, and I just kept getting like a mediocre hand job the whole night.
That sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, good for you, I guess.
I guess, yeah. And another time I like hooked up with a girl's friend. She was supposed to come and stay the night, and then I ended up hooking up with her friend because she couldn't make it, and just a lot of stories like that.
Well, it's okay. At the same time, it's not just your fault. It's these girls' faults too.
Yeah.
These girls were not real friends.
No, but also, I think those situations I shouldn't even have put myself in those situations, nor them, or you know what I mean? Like all that can be avoided. Like if I was going to my girlfriend's friends and then she just didn't come, I wouldn't go there and stay the night because that's a recipe for just,
Yeah.
there's no like why test my willpower, and just that's just not a good situation. And then you throw alcohol into it, which was the case, and yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, I'm content with it now. I've made my peace and talked it over with therapists and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're different. You learn. You know, a lot of people don't have self-awareness. They don't have the capacity to, see their mistakes and like, why did I do this and how can I get better? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you did that. So that's pretty cool.
I did that. Thank you. Yeah, that was tough. Yeah, there's a lot of people that don't have self-awareness. Comedians too. You'll be like, "How'd you do?" They're like, "I crushed." And you're like, "No, you didn't crush."
No.
But whatever. Okay, what was the douchiest thing you've ever done?
So before I met my ex, I dated this pilot.
There's a lot. Oh, because you were a flight attendant.
I was a flight attendant. Like that was in Norway the first year when I was a flight attendant. And I have this big problem, which is I get the hick very fast.
What's the hick? Oh, the ick.
The ick. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ick. So for me, it's like I'm very honest and straightforward, and I always give people like my rotten tomatoes first, because if they get the ick, then it's already gone. Like I did it on purpose. You know what I mean? Like
What
if
are
I
your
go
rotten tomatoes?
if I go on the first date, I go without makeup. I'll put my hair up. Like, you know what I mean? So
That's
you
your
see
rotten
me. Yeah.
tomatoes?
Yeah.
That's it?
And I'm just
Just
honest.
you without makeup?
I'm just on. I'm just like straightforward. I speak how much I want to speak. Like I don't, you know what I mean? Like I'm just myself. I don't try to impress anybody.
That's good.
But this guy, he was like a Norwegian guy. He was like a really nice person. And we started dating, and in like and I lived in this house with other Portuguese people, and they were fucking bullying me too. Like I don't, this girl, just a side part why I don't want to look like, oh, I'm a victim. It was rough. This girl dreamed that her boyfriend cheated on her with me.
Oh, wow.
So
So it was already like...
this was a dream, and she wanted to beat me up. I said, and I was like, you want to fight me because
of the
you
dream.
dreamed.
Yeah. It was a powerful dream.
She would come to my room in the middle of the night, turn off the light, and leave.
Weird.
And I would be exhausted, and then like and then like it was like
Oh, turn on the light.
yeah, she would turn on the light and
When you're
leave
sleeping.
when I'm sleeping. Sorry, I wasn't clear. Yeah. And then this guy, like we all bought a car together, and then they wouldn't let me drive the car, and it was just like a whole thing. And I'm like, why the fuck do I have so many like bad things happening at the same time? But then with the weather, it amplified that. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, dude, I told this pilot, I was like, this is happening. I'm fucking miserable. I can't sleep at night. I go to work miserable. Like I don't have money for anything. I barely have money to eat. Like I'm so miserable. Can I please move in with you? Just so I can figure it out. I just need a month to figure it out, and I will help you pay for the rent and all this stuff. And he's like,
Cha-ching!
he's like, okay, no. So that was what gave me the hick, because I would clean the house, I would do laundry, I would cook for him, and he would cook
That's
too.
amazing.
Yeah, but then he made way more money than me. Mm-hmm. But then he would accept that I would pay half of the rent. Mm. So what happened with that? Like I was.
Would he pay for meals and stuff out at least?
I don't remember, to be honest, but I would buy food for the house too, and I would cook.
Yeah.
And at this time I was like 18, almost 19, and I didn't know how to express my feelings, and I felt uncomfortable about this, but I didn't know how to say it. But this type of behavior, I didn't felt safe, and I was also instilling my masculine energy, and I start feeling really unattracted to him.
Because you were working?
Not because I was working, but because he was not, like, I felt like he didn't take care of me.
Yeah.
So I didn't felt like sleeping with him anymore. So
Wow.
I wouldn't sleep with him. And then it was like weird about that. And I just felt like he was very feminine, and I felt very unattracted to that. And I didn't know how to say it. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to fucking quit this flight attendant shit. I'm going to go to Oslo. I got a job as a waitress. And I said to him, I really never broke up with him because I couldn't express that I didn't felt attracted to him anymore. And the douchebag thing that I did was I moved to Oslo. I took all my stuff from his house, and I said, we're still gonna date, I just need my space.
Oh my gosh.
I took all my stuff out. Then I came back. I stopped talking to him.
Of course.
I came back. I give him his car. I hit with the car in the garage. I scratched the car. And I told him, sorry, I scratched the car. I don't have money now, but I'm going to pay you. And he was just like really feminine in some things where he's like, yeah, Nacya, but like, when are you going to pay me? And I'm like, dude, like, can you like fucking chill? You make 3 times more money than me. Like, and you're from here. You went to college for free. You have health insurance. You have all these things. It's not that I'm entitled. I'm doing my best with what I can. And at this point, I cannot fucking help you. Let me think about myself so I can get fucking healthy again. And then we'll come back to this. And then I never did. I just got such a big hick from him. And then after a while, he said, hey, Nacya, the house is really empty and all this stuff. And I'm like, can you like stop calling me? Oh. So I felt really bad. And to this day, I think after a while I sent him a message saying, and even my mom, I told my mom what I did. And she doesn't speak any English or any other language besides Portuguese. So she tried to call him to communicate with him. Like, she's like, and I'm like, she didn't tell me anything. He said to me, why is your mom calling me? And I'm like, I didn't know she's calling you. So I called my mom, and she's like, I wanted to send him coffee and apologize. So like my mommy's like really sweet, but yeah. So I said I'm sorry. I know you were trying, but culturally wise, I think like dating, like you need to find what you want.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
I would never. I dated somebody and they wanted me to move in with them. Like they were the ones that invited. He was the one that invited me to move in with him very early. And he's like, oh, you know, you just pay a little bit of rent and I will buy you a Tesla. You don't have to drive your car anymore. And I was like, hold on. I'll pay you a little bit of rent. If I'm moving with a man ever again, I'm not paying for any fucking rent. Unless I make way more money than you, then I will pay for rent. And he's like, okay, how do you contribute? I'm like, well, I will take care of the house. I will clean, cook. Because I wake up early, always. So
Yeah.
if I make breakfast for me, I'll make breakfast for you. I'll clean. I'll do your laundry. I'll make sure everything looks spotless because that's how I am even by myself. You know, if I come home from work or from a show and you're like, can you make me a sandwich? I don't think that's sexist. I'll make you a sandwich. I like
Right.
taking care of men.
Yeah, yeah.
But for me, it's like I need to feel safe and need to feel like I have a rock. And some women like
But if
being-
you guys make the same amount, then are you cool with splitting the rent? And they pay for like food and stuff out or whatever and that kind of deal, or no? If you live with a guy, he's got to pay.
I think if that was the case, it would just really depend of the dynamics.
Yeah.
Like, I think it would be everything half.
Wow.
You know, but if everything is half, I don't know how am I going to feel sexually
Yeah.
about you because I like being submissive to a dominant man. And
Sure.
I'm already so dominant. I have to be dominant in this business that we live.
Yeah.
I have to be tough. When I'm home,
Yeah.
I want to be in my feminine energy.
Literally the most sexist
Yeah.
industry, comedy in particular. It's the only it's the only one I can think of where people will really be like, you can't do. They're like, women aren't funny, and there's like, there's no other profession where they're just like, women can't do this. I mean, even like there's women Marine infantry people now that are doing like infantry, which used to be off limits for women. It's just wild how sexist
Yeah.
our field is.
Anyway, to the point is, I don't want to come home and be in that type of
Sure.
energy.
Yeah, that's fair.
But, you know,
well, you were in the right state, Texas,
Right?
because they're very big on traditional values. And my
Yeah.
girlfriend's from Texas. I grew up in Oklahoma. Like, our stuff's like that for the most part. But she will still buy food to cook in the house. But like, I'll cover all the restaurants, and we go to nice restaurants and stuff.
Look, this is what I think.
But if when we move in together, she's gonna help with rent because it's so fucking expensive. But she'll be, yeah, at least until I make it. Because like the mortgages here are insane. Like for my half of this place, I could have a house with a pool in like the nicest neighborhood where I grew up, and I'm like hood adjacent. I own half of a condo next to Inglewood.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
The thing, I feel like,
But I get what you're saying. And like, I read The Way of the Superior Man, and like, you have a lot of truth to what you're saying, even though a lot of people in LA don't like to hear that.
I don't give a fuck what people like to hear.
Yeah.
This is the thing. Like, after my divorce, I've learned so much about myself, and I've learned like who I am and how I behave, why I behave the way I behave, and what I need and what I want.
Yeah.
And I made peace with that, and that's
Good.
okay. I feel like you guys, you have your preferences with women too.
Yeah.
So it's okay that I have my preferences with men too.
Of course
Yeah.
it is. And I think in your 30s are when you really like stop giving a fuck, and it's like, this is who I am, and fucking like it or love it. This is what you know, what you like, you know what you don't like. And I think it's great. You stop pretending to like all this other shit, and it's just
Yeah.
like, no, I want this, this, and this, and I know what I like. I know what I want.
I don't think I ever pretended to like anything. I think I was just I didn't value myself enough to walk away from things I didn't like. I just thought, oh, maybe I'm being difficult, or maybe I'm being demanding. Like, it's okay that people have things that I don't like. No, it's not okay. There's people for everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But you saying you get the ick really quickly makes me... Do you read books a lot? Mm-hmm. Do you ever read self-improvement stuff?
Yeah.
Have you read Attached?
No. I've seen, I did some research about attachment styles.
That's what it's about.
And I realized that I have anxious attachment style.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh? Because the stuff you're saying sounds more like, but you can also have both. Did you know that you can have anxious and avoidant? And some of the stuff you're saying is very avoidant tendency, like getting the ick really quickly. Do you romanticize the one that got away? Is there like one guy?
No.
No.
Never.
So are you like, do you typically find yourself in relationships with people where they're like, I'm not really looking for anything serious?
No. So after I got divorced,
You might not be anxious then.
no, do you know why I'm anxious? I'm gonna tell you why.
Let's hear it.
After I got divorced, I don't want to lose my time.
Yeah.
So when I date, I say this is what I want. I want to get married and I want to have kids. It doesn't mean it has to be now. It doesn't mean it has to be next year or after. Okay?
Right.
We can get to know each other, but I only date intentionally.
That's great.
If you're looking to have fun and fuck, that's not for me.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
I think that's great. You're being upfront with your needs and
Yeah.
what you value in life, and that's good.
Of course.
A lot of people can't handle that, but you'll weed out the ones that
Yeah.
aren't.
Exactly.
And then there'll be a few that say they can, but you'll catch on that they can't. So, Are you on the dating apps and stuff? Yeah.
I think with the anxious one, answering your question is, like, I'm like this with friends too. I don't like people, but when I do, I will do my best to stay with you forever. Even
Yeah.
with friends, I
Same.
don't fight with my friends and I'm not friends with people who raise their voice and shout and don't know how to communicate, because that will push me to a place where I don't want to be like that.
Right.
So, all my friends that are with me since, like, childhood, teenage years, and even now that I made, we all communicate. If I do something that they don't like, they'll be like, "Hey, Nacya, that bothered me," and I'll be even if I don't agree, or even if I think they're like being,
A little bitch. No.
yeah, I'm just like, I always say, oh, of course, like, I apologize, it won't happen again. And I take that in consideration,
Sure.
because it's very hard for me to let people that I love go. Like,
Right.
once I like you, I love you, and I'm not going to let you go, even like male friends, girlfriends.
Yeah.
So, and I get very anxious, and I call my friends every day. I call my family every day.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, my interview with Dr. Drew went viral
Yeah.
because I said, one of the things I said was, I was trying to connect with this friend of mine from back home that she's a really good friend of mine. I love her, but she's very head in the clouds. And I said to her, "Hey, you never fucking call me anymore." And she goes, "I'm so busy." And I'm like, "Do you have time to shit?" She goes, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Call me when you take a shit." And she does. She FaceTimes me when she takes a
Ew,
shit. She's like
FaceTime.
singing in the toilet. I'm like, oh, okay.
Wow. That's crazy. Yeah, I FaceTime my family every day too. Pretty much almost every day. That's great. What are so you read a lot of stuff, or you do read, what are your favorite self-improvement books you've ever read?
I don't remember very well. I read this one, How to Not Give a Fuck, the yellow book.
The Subtle Art of Not Giving
Yeah.
a Fuck, Mark Manson.
And I was reading Dark Psychology.
Dark Psychology.
Yeah, Dark Psychology is a book that talks about all, like, the mental illnesses, like being bipolar, like narcissist, and all this stuff. Because
It's common in our industry.
yeah,
The narcissist.
because I've got, I don't know, there were so many things in, like, gaslighting, what it is, and, like, emotional manipulation.
Of course.
And sometimes you hear about it, but you don't really understand. And, like, I remember reading in this book that, like, emotional manipulation is when you express, like, something bother you, like, oh, this hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
And this person is making it about your reactions. Like, you're just too fucking sensitive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's emotional manipulation.
And
So
gaslighting
and
as well.
gaslighting. So I went through all of these things, and I would be like, oh yeah, of course. And then I was just thinking, oh, I'm being an ag, or like I'm asking
course.
for too much. And when I started reading this book, I was like, oh my fucking God.
Yeah.
Thank God. I wish I read this 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You know
Because
what
you
I
were
mean?
expressing your needs and they were invalidating them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a way of manipulation to keep you.
Which narcissists
Yeah.
are famous for. Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. Excuse me.
Are you going to make me sick?
No, I have allergies and I have a fucking cat.
That's what people with COVID say.
I'm allergic to cats.
And you have a cat.
And I have a cat.
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah, I got this fucking cat because my dog loved cats and all my roommates had cats. And then, yeah, now my dog's dead and I'm stuck with this
sorry.
fucking cat. Yeah, it sucks. Toughest thing I've ever. You have a dog.
I do.
How long have you had him?
For 4 years.
Okay. He's a little dog too, so he'll live a long time.
And I spend a lot of money with him, so I'm hoping that he will live forever.
Good. You have him on raw diet?
No, I don't have him on raw diet, but I have him on fresh food
Good.
that I buy on Costco, and it's
Jesus
fucking
Christ.
expensive.
And it's also a lot of work. You can get raw, and I don't compare the prices because I get raw for my cat, and
Where do
I
you
got
get
it for
it?
my dog. This place called Darwin's Pet, and it's like all organic vegetables and raw meat.
Can you give me this info afterwards?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Darwin's Pet. Fucking use Bryson Banks for 20% off. Just kidding. But and also they have a discount if it's a service dog. So they it's the best one, and it's all like raw food, raw chicken or beef or whatever you buy, and it comes frozen in like a big thing, and then you just break it out and give it to them. And it's like one of the healthiest foods, and it probably gave my dog an extra at least year of life, I would say, in combination with a bunch of other things I did for him when he was going through what he was going through.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dogs are the best thing in the world.
The best, man. I got him like my first month out of the Marines, and he went everywhere with me, and I made him a service dog. He flew everywhere with me and went to UCLA with me and Pepperdine, and we lived it up. We had a good run. It's cool, man. It is what it is. What are some of your biggest values and beliefs in life? It sounds like you're authentic and you know what you want, and you're a hard worker.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I never really thought about that.
Yeah. Well, good. I'm glad I'm provoking some good questions to get you thinking.
Yeah.
I read a really good book once, one of my favorite books, called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And it has a really cool exercise to find your values. It has you visualize a funeral, and people are talking and saying things at a funeral, and you go peek in the casket, and who's in the casket? It's you. What are these people saying about you? Like, and that is what's most important to you, and how you should take what they're saying and work backwards and build your life to what they're saying, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And that chapters begin with the end in mind. So always begin anything with the end in mind, even your life. And that's how you find your values. And then you write them out and you read them every morning. Okay. You seem so fucking uninterested.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to seem
Are you
uninterested.
thinking?
I have ADHD, so I was actually imagining what you say.
Oh, I have that too.
But even when I think about it, I don't give a fuck about what people say about me.
Yeah.
So I would have to see.
But these are your friends and your family, which are the people I think you care or would care, right?
So the way I have this exercise I do with myself, if I'm going through something or if or something is happening, I would pretend that I am my own daughter, and what would I say to her?
Oh, that's nice. I like
or even
that.
if I go on a date, I would be like, this guy's not for you. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
How much you like him.
During the date?
No, just
After.
in general.
Yeah.
But
man, the Attached book is so good if you're dating in LA. LA is the toughest city I've ever dated in.
Really?
Yeah.
I have, like, for me, it's really mixed. Like, I get like fuckboys, but I can tell. So for me, it's like, it doesn't matter which, but fuckboys always try so hard to act like they're good people. They're always like, I'm all about honesty and transparency. And I'm like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
And then I have guys that meet me and they're like, would you want to move in with me? And
what?
I'm like,
on the first date?
The first week.
That's crazy. That's a red flag for sure.
So I don't know.
They're like, I need to get this closer
every day.
Well, that is You're not gonna fall for that again because you did it with the flight guy, the pilot.
Yeah, I really like my space.
Another avoidant tendency.
It is?
Yeah.
I don't like sleeping alone. It's tough.
Yeah. But you like your space and your freedom.
I like my space and my freedom, but it's like the thing is that I get attached. I love taking care of people. Like, I really love making a meal for you.
Yeah.
And I really love like if you're in my house, I would fill up your cup already. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, I really love taking care of people, and I do that with my friends too. So it kind of becomes a habit. So I'm kind of like scared of going into that Like next time I'm gonna move in with a guy, I have to be engaged. I'm not gonna move in with somebody just
Really?
yeah.
Do you think it's better to wait till you're engaged?
I just don't want to do this thing ever again.
Yeah. It's so tough to move in and then move out.
Yeah,
then...
move in, move out, and then there's like tiny little things that maybe you think that don't matter,
Yeah.
but like, what is like one tiny thing that you wouldn't be able to live with somebody that if they did?
I gotta have the common areas clean. Like I gotta like this is not how my place usually is. My place is usually immaculate. At least the common areas. My room can get a little messy, but like common areas I like to have clean. I like to I don't know. That is important to me. There's a lot of things. If you're a partier and like to bring people back, like that would get in the way. But I
don't fuck with
screen
that.
these things way early on.
You
Yeah.
see, I cannot do that.
Yeah.
This is the thing with me. I'm very dumb with people because I want to believe the best of them. And my mom, she's a very like tough person, and she doesn't talk about feelings or anything. But she always told me this. She's like, "You don't see the evil in people. You always think everybody's like you." And I'm like,
That's good though, because I'm the opposite. I think everyone's out to get me. So I think
You
there's, yeah. Yeah, I'm like paranoid, like
I get gut
neurotic.
feelings.
Good feelings?
Gut feelings.
Oh, yeah, I get that too.
Every
I'm
time I
very-
ignore my gut feelings are always right.
Yep. So you have good intuition.
Always.
That's good. Sounds like you're pretty close with your mom. Does she live in Portugal?
Yeah.
Are your parents still together?
They're like very much in love.
That's awesome.
Yeah. They had my brother at 27, and they were married at 21, and then they had me at 40.
What? That's crazy. So your parents are old.
Yeah, they're old as fuck.
Old as fuck. My parents are young. My mom had me when she was like 18.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and yeah. Yeah, my mom's like she's in her early 50s.
Okay.
I'd have to do the math. 18.
It's okay,
What's
it's too
18
hard.
plus
I know.
35?
I'm a comedian. I
53?
can't do math.
53. Well, cool. Do you have anything you want to plug?
Well, yes, we have our show, my show, the Riff, improv stand-up that you're gonna be in
Yeah, I'm excited.
December 21st, 7:30 at the Hollywood Improv.
Let's go. Cool. Well, thank you for doing the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I feel like
Yeah.
this was a very serious podcast.
Yeah, it was. We had some serious moments.
I thought it was gonna be fun and light.
Well, there's some of those moments too. I kind of want to like do because I'm huge into self-improvement. I have a
good.
master's in psychology. Like I've obsessively improved myself in my life, and I try to push it onto others. Like I'm always trying to get my parents or someone in my life to read a book that I know will help them. And any weaknesses I have, I get a book for it. So like, yeah, I want to like kind of incorporate that, but also be funny, and we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. I had a meeting with Podcast One, and they were like, "Oh, I think you need to lean more into comedy." And I'm just like, "Well, I mean, he said take it with a grain of salt, and he was a good dude. So, but it was some advice he gave. So we'll see. I don't know. I also don't like being like trying to be funny all
Yeah.
the time, and like this is who I am, and a lot about
How
my
is
life.
it? How do you try to be funny?
Yeah, I don't know why I turned into like a New York mobster to be funny. But yeah, well, thank you for doing the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Cool.